Hi there, this is a quick update. HBO just dropped their first behind-the-scenes promo for House of the Dragon Season 3. Not a trailer, but, a behind-the-scenes promo with the cast and crew talking about things that are in the upcoming season. And this was just the first one, so it's generic introductions and everything. However, it did include shots that gave our first ever official look in high quality at three new major characters we've been anticipating. Black Alley Blackwood, Roderick Dustin, and also Torrhen Manderly, who we haven't had a single spy photo of in all this time. So I made this video quickly dashing it off just to share with you essentially these still shots that they didn't say anything about these characters, that you can tell there'll be future promos setting them up more. But for now, it's just their look from these screenshots. Let's start with Alicent Blackwood, called Black Alley Blackwood, who is played by Annie Shapero. We actually had really good spy photos of her, to the point that I made other videos about it, really detailed. Still, this is, an official video from HBO. It's in high definition. We can see even more detail and everything. Black Alley is a tomboy and a skilled archer, so she commands House Blackwood's divisions of archers and everything. And she's the loyal lieutenant of her young nephew, Ben Blackwood, that his father was killed at the Battle of Burning Mill back in Season 2, and he became the new heir, but he's underage. Now, the TV show did mention in passing in Season 2 that Bloody Ben exists. Bloody Ben is mentioned briefly in dialogue by the other Blackwoods to Daemon, so he exists in the TV universe. I don't know if we'll actually see him on screen yet, if they're saying that he is very young. But okay, here's his aunt, Black Alley Blackwood, who is their most senior warrior now, commanding the archers. She's a fan favorite, a pretty important character that, minor spoilers, Black Alley becomes the romantic love interest for Cregan Stark, that she eventually becomes Lady of Winterfell. And we will be dealing with her for multiple seasons, that she's reasonably important for, well, I know this show is going to end with Season 4. If we get a Regency spinoff or something, that she would be a major character for a long time, dealing with all the Regency chapters if you've read this. But even if not, just going into Season 4, she's also a pretty big character. In terms of the look they chose to give her, well, the book describes that she has waist-length black hair. But I can see, realistically, if you're an archer, you don't want the hair to get stuck in your longbow, that she braided it up like that for practicality, so she can draw a bow without her hair getting stuck in it. So I can see why they did that. Can someone who's smarter than me and knows more about costuming and hairstyling say in the comments, what kind of hair braid is that? Because I've heard someone say it looked like a Dutch braid. I'm no expert. I don't know hair braiding. But now that we can see it in even more detail, what kind of hair braiding is that? Also interesting is they have that stripe of black paint across her eyes that I can see, I've been in sports. I know the thing is, it's anti-reflective paint. It's war paint, guys. No, it makes sense. She's a sniper. I can't have reflection in my eyes. I can see, okay, that's why you do that as opposed to a swordsman or something. But, for glare, she's a sniper. Looking forward to that. Next up, Roderick Dustin, Roddy the Ruin, played by veteran actor Tommy Flanagan. He was in Braveheart. He was in a lot of things. Best known for Braveheart when he killed Lord Royce. But he is Lord of House Dustin and commander of the Winter Wolves, the advanced force of elderly, battle-hardened soldiers that Cregan Stark said, well, I can immediately send south some hand-picked veteran warriors. They're old men, but they're battle-hardened. These are men unafraid to die. They will volunteer to go in the first wave and fight and die to clear a path for the main army. That they're very useful. This is great because up until this point, we had exactly one extremely blurry spy photo of him that might as well not have been a spy photo at all. We had really good spy photos for Black Alley Blackwood. We never really got an advanced look at him before from the set photos. And now here he is in all his glory. And not just one, we actually got two shots of him, see? Notice that the brooch on his cape has the sigil of House Dustin, the two crossed long axes. Again, I love it when they do that, when they don't... Oh, it's the Lannister uniform, the Stark uniform. There's more to the Westerlands than just the Lannisters. There's more to the North than just the Starks. That what they did at Rook's Rest, where they showed there's vassal houses who have their own sigils, makes the world building feel more deep. So I'm hoping to see, just at least on their armor, that they're not just carrying Stark banners, but like, and there's Lord Dustin. He has the Dustin banner, so you can tell that it's a whole kingdom of multiple vassal houses and stuff. So I love that they put the sigil in there. And third, well, this is interesting because it is our truly first ever look, not even blurry. We had absolutely zero on this character before. Our first ever look at Torrhen Manderly, played by Dan Fogler, who's from the Fantastic Beast movies. Yet we had zero spy photos of him, not even anything blurry. So this is the first time anyone, including the set spies, including me, no one saw him before. Because he's not the guy who's on set in the battlefields of the Riverlands. He's at the royal court representing his fleets and stuff. I talked about this more when the casting first came out, but his father is the current head of House Manderly and Lord of White Harbor, the only city in the north, which is on the east coast. And it's the smallest of the 5 official cities in Westeros, but a city nonetheless, major port. It's not, I like how they described in the 5th novel, where it's not as much gold as Lannisport or something. You can tell it's prosperous, just not in like gemstones and stuff, but hey, we're trading fish, we're trading furs and wool. So the Manderlys are really one of the more prosperous, wealthy families in the north. It also means because of all their fishing fleets and trading fleets, and they're humble trading fleets, they're not, like sending spices and things, but they're the closest thing to a navy that the North has, when Robb is considering, well, the most ships I have are what the Manderlys can give us. Well, after the Velaryons secure control over the Narrow Sea again, which they will in the first episode, Battle of the Gullet, they have control over all of the east coast of Westeros down to the Stepstones. So Torrhen Manderly's father sends him south by ship to Rhaenyra as his representative, now that they have full control of the sea lanes again. And they'll be discussing adding their strength to the Velaryon fleet, of can we ship more soldiers with the Manderly fleet by sea from the north and things like that. So this happened in the book. He came south as a representative of the Manderlys because they're pretty important with their fleets. We're really excited about this because, by extension, if you think about it, this will be the first real full-fledged introduction of the Manderlys in live action. A proper introduction, not just name-dropping them. Introducing them for a TV-only audience. And the direct parallel is to the Blackwoods, like with Black Alley Blackwood, that both the Manderlys and Blackwoods were pretty big in the main novels. These are characters people would know. Martin has even said the Blackwoods are some of my favorites. And the Game of Thrones TV series by Benioff and Weiss shorted them. We got no Manderly's revenge with the Frey pie and the Northern Conspiracy. They name-dropped a few Blackwoods, but a casual viewer would not have picked up on that. So think back on it, that House of the Dragon Season 2 was really the first time that general audiences were introduced, by which I mean lectured, introduced, given exposition on, this is who the Blackwoods are. They have a feud with the Brackens going back to time immemorial. Stuff like that. Like, if they name drop them, it's as much as name dropping the Glovers or the Locks or something, that the Blackwoods were never properly introduced in Game of Thrones. The man on the street didn't pick up on it until House of the Dragon Season 2. And the hope is that Torrhen Manderly appearing this prominently in Season 3 will do the same for them. That, did you know, they never explain in Game of Thrones that the Blackwoods are the only major family south of the Neck that still worships the old gods, this holdout. Or that the Manderlys are actually this little enclave of southerners in the north, but they're fiercely loyal to the Starks. That the Manderlys are a house from the Reach, that they lost a war 1,000 years ago and fled into exile in the north. But the Starks put them in charge of their one port, and they were good at it. Were doing stuff in the south. They were really good at it. built up this mild port town fort into an actual city, a tiny city, but a city. So White Harbor and the Manderlys that rule it, they're this enclave of they still worship the faith of the Seven. One thing I'm interested about in terms of, this is a level of world building Benioff and Weiss would never have done. They never even explained who these guys are, much less, oh yeah, we still follow the faith of the Seven, or something like, I was talking about this with Fantasy Haven. Are their accents different? Maybe the Manderlys don't talk like Northerners because they're from the South and stayed in sea contact with King's Landing as a port regularly. But the parallel is, just as the Blackwoods were never really given the proper respect and introduction of lore in Game of Thrones, never got anything until House of the Dragon Season 2, I'm hoping they do that with the Manderlys in Season 3 by having him this prominently at Rhaenyra's court. And there's only so much that a prequel can do to pick up the slack. I mean, they're not going to have the Frey pie here or anything. But still, I am looking forward to this. I gave this other report a while ago talking about the cast rankings that I'll leave it at this, but based on the cast rankings, how they only change one or two rank spots for a given character between seasons, it was weird that Jeyne Arryn jumped from rank 57 to rank 40. 40 is what Oscar Tully was last season. And we had this leaked casting sheet for specifically the 4th episode of Season 3, which says that both Torrhen Manderly and Jeyne Arryn are in it. Not necessarily in the same scene. That doesn't reveal anything specific, but my suspicion is that Jeyne Arryn will come south to Rhaenyra's court on the same ship that Torrhen Manderly does. That's a change, but I think it's a good change because it doesn't really affect anything. That Torrhen goes by ship to Rhaenyra's court, stays there for a while, treating with her on her small council, then eventually leaves by ship and goes back north again. Similarly, you could have Jeyne Arryn actually come south with him to give her more screen time being at Rhaenyra's small council, but she has to be, no spoilers, in another place for another thing back in the Vale. She could just leave on the same ship that Torrhen does, so it gives her more screen time without really changing anything. And it would also set up a scene where Jeyne Arryn could be on the same boat as Alan Velaryon for the Raised by Wolves fans. We'll see what happens, but this is just an advanced, I'm dashing it off video, nothing too detailed, that eventually we'll get more behind-the-scenes promos of the actors actually introducing this is this new character I play and my take on it. But for now, basically think of these as posters. This is our first detailed look at these characters. So we're going to be getting new content by the day. We've only got 4 or 5 weeks left until the premiere, so please like and subscribe to stay up to date with all of my reports on this.